You're live. Sound check.
The sound's on.
Hey.
Hey.
And we're only 6 minutes late. Hey. Would it be an ADHD stream if we were on time? That's what I want to know.
I'd be honest, I thought we were like quite early compared to normal, but it turns out 6 minutes. Wow, time blindness is a thing.
Up 7 minutes now, but we're here now.
8 minutes now, but
We're authentically ADHD streamers.
see, girls, if you don't know who we are, this is Lindsay. I'm Steph, and we run a different human design, which is a neurodivergency, ADHD, autism, advocacy, support, and
Spotlight and inspiration.
spotlighting inspiration. We understand that the assessment times, treatment times for ADHD, and a lot of other neurodivergent conditions are getting very difficult for the average human to access any support. So we're here to try and provide that the best we can in our most ADHD fashion.
Yeah, that's the actual thing, that we are providing ADHD support in an ADHD way, which is hopefully more relatable than what's out there.
It's real meta. It's very I like it. But today we've got quite a good episode. Not that we don't.
That's literally just,
Ever.
we always have good episodes that I was like, don't be panicky. Come on, don't. Don't do that thing.
Just, it makes me happy when we've got like a set schedule. Normally it's just like, oh, we'll do this and chuck that in or whatever. But now,
Yeah.
today I feel like I know what we're talking about. If you've seen the thumbnail, or watched any of these recent Netflix documentaries about the troubled teen industry, we are going to be deep diving, because I'm not being funny. My mum would have sent me in a heartbeat.
Do you know what? I think my mum had, thinking about how I was in my teens as well, if they'd have seen the way that it was portrayed, as in it's portrayed in quite a this is the solution you've been looking for way, they'd have sent me as well. And
Yeah.
so grateful and so thankful that they didn't.
Preach, mum. Yeah, thankfully, the UK has way stricter protection laws for children, and even did during that time.
Yeah.
In America, it just isn't as.
It's a real shock. I mean, even in the industry, the behaviour industry, which I am in, the stories that I get from the students when they've come from other provisions and other schools can be quite questionable. There's the stories of them being chucked in rooms, locked in rooms. And I do think there is some shady practices going on. But then watching the program on Netflix, wow, that was a real shocker.
It's horrifying, right? And some of these accounts are really like, from Paris Hilton to have gone all this time without talking about it, and kind of says a lot about her, like kind of makes you understand her a little bit more. Like if you've not watched the This Is Paris documentary, and you're like, oh, Paris Hilton, she's just some rich
This is
socialite.
literally where I was at with it. You told me about it and I watched it last night.
I love Paris, and I always have. For some reason, she's just made me laugh.
I love her
And
now.
I'm
I
glad.
thing in my head that, oh, she's just a rich kid, and she's famous for the fact that her family's famous, and what has she actually done, blah blah blah. But then finding out a little bit more about her and realize her personality is wicked, I was like, yeah, she's well cool.
She's really funny, and you can kind of see how the trauma has
Yeah.
definitely impacted as the person that she is today.
Big time.
Then there's also people without that amount of fame, without that amount of resources, that are also survivors from these kinds of institutions all across the US. But like you said, I think it's good to point out that although there's not necessarily these brat camps in the UK, the average school condition for a neurodivergent child is abusive.
And for kids, that a lot of kids are just recognized as having behavior needs, and they've quite clearly got underlying reasons for that behavior. It's not that they're just choosing to be to be poorly behaved or misbehave. And quite often these adults are treating them almost like it's a bit of a military camp. Like, I'll shout in their face and that's going to rectify the issue. Well, it's just not.
We understand through psychology that that militant, very aggressive discipline style, it might work for people in the army, because the goal is to desensitize them
Yeah.
to
And
the
get them
point
to
that
conform.
Yeah, to the point that looking at a picture of a kitten and looking at a picture of some horrible
Yeah,
abuse, or
mold body.
it brings you the same internal reaction. There is no like, oh, like the average person looking at something that would make you go, oh,
And
that disconnects that in their brain.
well, and look at how many people come out of the army and they've got PTSD. It's not like
Exactly.
people come out of the army and go on to lead a healthy life, is it?
You're just being trained to suppress it at a very, very scary level.
Mm.
The fact that it's not like you're constantly thinking, don't think about that, don't think about how scary that is. You get to the point where you naturally are like not bothered by watching certain things, or and we've all got like that gross need to look at stuff, like the rubbernecking at a
Yeah. Oh gosh,
accident. But
yeah.
there are certain people that, especially within the autistic community, where you kind of struggle to differentiate your excitement for like natural disasters and like problems that are happening. Like
Yeah.
the amount of people that I know that during like 9/11, when I was a kid, all these different like buzzwords that I'm saying, it's probably going to get us completely rude off. But I remember so many, me personally, being like, what is happening? And I think to other people looking, you could look like I was like excited, but I'm not. I'm just like, the day is different.
Yeah, yeah. The change in the norm
Yeah.
of what's
You
rather
see,
than what's going
you see adults acting a different way, like adults crying and stuff, just in the hallways.
on. Mm.
Teacher, you're just like, this is really strange. Something must be like
Yeah,
happening.
big must be.
And I think that's why I'm good at like when stuff happens like that, my brain doesn't instantly go to like, ah, chaos. When it's a real bad time, I'm like, peace.
It's an
I can
ADHD
fix
trait
this.
though, isn't it? It's like you're in the crisis, you will be the calm, collected one, but then a regular thing can happen, like an email pings in your inbox, and it's like
100%. But yeah, it can literally make me feel like I was saying earlier, like the school of the gifted from X-Men. But these schools were nothing like the school for the gifted, although
I'd go.
portrayed as just as as amazing.
Yeah, I'd go to Hogwarts. That's like, we were discussing earlier, would we go to boarding school and things like that? If it was Hogwarts, I would be there in a flash. I even when I remember when I first read the book and I was still getting the bus to school. So I must have been like 16 by that point, 15, 16, 17, something like that. And I said to my friend, I was like, oh, I'm just devastated that I'm too old to now get the letter in the post, saying like actually a wizard and you're coming to the school of Hogwarts. But then as I've got older and I've refound this like magic and this passion for witchy woo type stuff, I'm like, oh, there is magic in the world, it's fine. We are the Hogwarts. Kind of creating a different human design in my mind was like, I want to create this kind of Hogwarts for the neurodivergent, the place to come to get to know your powers and get to know how to
Yeah,
overcome certain things.
they are magical superheroes.
Yeah, indeed. And on that note, we'll see you on the you want to do the
Yeah,
intro?
let's do the
Yeah,
intro.
we'll see you on the other side of it. Plenty more to talk about.
Why? Why is it like this? The haters should be loved, we invite it. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous. Why? Why is it like this? Instead of haters should be loved, we invite it. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous.
Hello, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the intro. Are we still loving the intro, by the way? I feel like I want to make a new visual for it.
Yeah,
The song still,
the song is still on point, isn't it? What we want.
it goes hard. I want different versions of it. I want like an opera kind of version, like classical, and then I want like a
Rock.
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
We definitely need to do visual though, because I just look like the Hoobs. Do you remember the Hoobs? I'm like this, like just that pure
This
mix.
program.
Yeah, that is another thing that used to be on in the mornings when I was getting ready to go to A levels or something. So it's like I was older, but that would always be on, and me and my mum would be the only ones up eating toast or whatever. We'd be laughing at the Hoobs, like doing this at each other, like.
I used to love the hoops. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe that's what
There
we
was a song.
eat the Hoobs like popping out of our own little chimneys.
That'll be us on the bus.
Yeah.
Different links. But before we get into, sorry, I was so
Yeah. Into
it's the end of the month, so it's only fair we recap on our
got mine.
resolution book. I do not have mine.
I have got mine, and I have been looking at it because for those of you that were watching at the start of the month when we set our intentions for March, I was completely burnt out and determined to
Yeah.
rest more, do less, rest more. Well, I can honestly say I've probably done more this month than I have the last 2 months, but I have definitely done more ritual things. So a 20-minute walk almost every day, most
Yep.
days, which made me giggle last night because I was like, oh, I can't be bothered, can't be bothered. And then it got to about 7 o'clock, and I was suddenly, this is why I love my being spontaneous. I was suddenly like, I'm going for a walk, and I was in my PJs, but I just jumped up, put my trackies over my PJs, and then I didn't even realised it was raining. Walked outside, it was raining. I was like, no, I'm still going for the
Still going.
walk. Yeah, I'm still going, and yeah, and I actually did the walk. So I've been walking or doing strength training. So like I've got a pull-up bar, so I've just been setting myself the mission of doing at least 5 a day, which sometimes then ends up as like 10.
Okay.
So that's a bonus.
Go
And then the other thing has been going barefoot outside and grounding physically with the earth, which is strange because I was trying to think when's the last time I had my bare feet on the actual outside ground, and it's got to have been at the end of, like, September, October last year when we had that nice hot spell. I probably would have wandered outside, or when I was on holiday. And I thought, so that means for months, months and months and months, I have not connected with the charge of the earth. No wonder I feel depressed. And as soon as I like walked outside and wandered onto the grass, I could feel the charge going through my body. I could physically feel this kind of, and it within minutes I felt soothed.
I
Like,
love
so
that.
yeah, so although I've like still feel very burnt out, it's not as kind of before I was like, what am I doing? I feel like I've got a bit more of a hold on it now, a bit more control, and it's all thanks to this book. Hey, we've got Taz in the chat. How you doing, lady? Very nice to see you. So yeah, my roundup is this book is definitely helping me kind of, even if I didn't stick to what I was going to stick to, it's helping me monitor it and kind of adjust and be aware. And if things aren't working, try something new.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been another successful month in that respect.
Congratulations on your resolutions for the month. The where I left off was I wanted to start getting up earlier. It was all about discipline. And if you remember that first week,
You did it.
I did. Posted a good morning to everyone each morning.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. Do you know what? There was a few mornings that I ended up posting way later than I actually got up because of like doctor's appointments and stuff. But just I kind of got in touch with that part of me that loves that time of the morning.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's the end of the month now, so it's pretty much light almost by that time now anyway, or a lot lighter than it was at the start of the month. So it's not really like I'm experiencing the darkness, but it's making me want to be like, maybe I could get up at 6.
Yeah, get up even earlier.
There's something about that moment. There's either driving really late at night, like 3, 4 in the morning.
And you're the only one around.
Yeah. When you're coming back from like the airport and stuff, and it's just me, whoever's in the car with me, and it's us against the world. Like if something was to happen right now, it's me and you. It's
when we finish the stream.
I love that. So yeah, that was and I really liked it. I feel like I've been a lot more disciplined from doing that. My house is a lot cleaner.
You do end up with more time on your hands, don't
Yeah.
you? That's the thing that I always tend to notice.
My skin is a lot better.
Hey, Cat's
saying, let's move
Cat's
that
in
a
the
little.
chat.
See the thing.
Cat's in the chat like that. What? Oh, Wi-Fi is not being very good, and the weather doesn't help. Don't worry, girl.
Are you saying our Wi-Fi, as in our connection, or yours, Cat? Obviously,
yeah.
I care about both, but I have a slight more investment in how I'm not working.
I can hear.
It's really like it used to make me think it was ghosts when I was younger. When I was a kid, you just hear like the whoo.
Yeah, I quite like it. Again, it's coming back to that thing we were saying before the intro about the excitement. There's something about really bad weather that gets me excited.
Because it kind of is, I think it fits in the same as like, I don't like small talk. And there's no time for small talk during like disaster. Everyone's like getting real with each other. And I remember during COVID, I remember like I said, I did my dissertation, so I was kind of out of it and not really aware for a lot. But as soon as I came out of that, I was looking around at people experiencing these symptoms that I've experienced my whole life.
Yeah.
Anxiety, social, like, oh, I don't know, wanting to be around people, like claustrophobia, like needing to, like,
Yeah,
and I was
welcome to
looking
my
around like,
normal world.
we can talk now. We date.
Well,
Trauma bonding.
the whole small talk thing. I mean, it's Autism Awareness Week next week, so we'll definitely focus on autism in particular. But the small talk thing, I'm a lover of small talk because there's rules. I know, like, I'm a massive oversharer and a very intense conversationalist. So it's like I want to talk about, what are your belief systems on where the world, like where did humans come from, and all those kind of things, which can be a bit much for people. So it's like, at least with small talk, I know exactly where I stand. I know that there's 5 topics that I can cover. But then once those topics run out, that's when the panic sets in, and then any oversharing might come out. So it's like, make your exit quick.
You know why I always see it as like a filter to who I'd want to talk to anyway. Because I don't
Yeah.
want to mask for anyone anymore. If I just go about all the things I want to talk about at the speed I want to talk to them about, and it makes you go,
You're not
I
for me. Yeah.
oh, gotta go. Yeah, you.
That is
That
a
kind
good
of filters
point.
people.
Yeah, definitely the older we're getting, it's almost like instead of not being authentic through fear of putting people off, it's be as authentic as you possibly can to
Yeah.
filter out the ones that aren't for you.
I'm claiming my weird, loud,
Yeah.
strange self
Yeah.
and the space that comes with it.
Pretty good. I mean, last week we spoke all about celebrating neurodivergency, didn't we? And it
Do that. I know I tried. Way! Chav.
took me, I don't know, it took me. I remember practicing to do that, like, and then I couldn't work out how people were doing it. But
I think I've practiced for about 15 years and I still can't get it.
yeah, you have to relax the finger so that it smacks against that one.
That's what says this. Heard it.
Yeah, it's something then. My friend can do it really loud. Yeah, don't break your. Although the bites are.
Right, to close my monthly reflection though, this past week, 2 weeks has been testing. And I feel like if I didn't have this book to keep me on track and to have like already have got my discipline, self-respect, like the things I do for me in order, the start of this month, I would not have been able to have anywhere near accepted the things that have happened to me in the last 2 weeks. So I'm really, really thankful that I didn't get bulldozed, all because of my resolution book.
It's interesting because I've put out a post the last week or so saying pretty much the same thing, that emotionally it's been a really charged couple of weeks and it could have been quite testing. And because I've given up smoking and given up drinking, those were just my turn to get through life things, and I'm having to be really creative now. It's like go and stand barefoot in the garden, like, last weekend we had the U Club, didn't we, and we were hugging trees, and it's like, yep, I hug trees now. That's what I do for a calming mechanism, and I'm just gonna have to own it. I'm a tree hugger.
It was it was calming, but it was also invigorating.
Yeah.
It was nowhere near as like hippie. Initially said I thought we were going out to walk till I just hug these trees and be like, ah. Very quickly, we've taken the most ridiculous videos. Shout out Anna, who literally
bear hugged a tree and bounced off of it. It's on both our social medias, isn't it? It's so funny.
I almost want to be like, caption this. So I feel like we could get some really funny things out of it.
My mum said she was laughing her head off when she was saying, "Oh my god, that video!" Like, and I was like, I feel exactly the same. A few times I've just been sat next to Lou on the sofa and then just burst out laughing, and it's because I'm watching that video. It's just great.
How confidently she just let us go to go back on herself. It's so funny.
Social media accounts to watch that.
So maybe I can find it on the Instagram.
Yeah, it might come up on Instagram, but it's brilliant. But going back to what we're both saying, it's this book is it is giving us that you might have a couple of bad days, but then you've got something to come back to.
Yeah.
And it's that reframing of how we are viewing our resolutions, because say if we'd just set one resolution at the start of the year and you don't achieve it or whatever, that's the end of the growth
Yeah.
process for the year, isn't it? Until the next year. Whereas this is like every month we're like, right, what are our intentions for the month? How's it gone? You know, what went well? And the Morris dancing, that's continued. The breath work, it's continued. You know, there's things that I've carried on doing, and then even with the setbacks, I'm like, okay, I've just got to rework how I'm approaching this.
It's I know what you mean. If I'd have set just one at the start of the year, I think I'd have one struggled to remember what I'd even set myself right now,
that's
because
the
I
thing,
wouldn't have
isn't it?
written it down anywhere.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's not just this month's things that help me stay accountable. So like at the start of the year, I set for my full year's goal to not drink.
Mm.
This month tried to steamroll me. And those 2 ciders are still in my fridge. I
Oh,
didn't touch
nice.
them. You know, I'm getting consoled by my lovely girlfriends, and they're like, "Come on, have a drink, come have a drink." And I was like, "No, that's not what I need right now. That's the last thing I need." And
Mm.
the fact I was able to stand in front of myself and offer myself that protection
Yeah.
from stuff I would have normally done
Without even
real
thinking about
quick,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
There it
turned
is.
up sloshed.
That's the thing, it's just
I knew I was gonna do that.
dealing with those things in a completely different way. Well, if we were trying to share the tree hugging video, but you'll just have to get yourselves over onto our Instagram accounts and watch it for yourself, because it is great. It is so funny.
And there's 2 videos, because I really wanted to show you Lindsay Morris dancing, and I think we're just going to save it for next week
Yeah.
because it's too good not to share. And you said, "Can we just put it on the YouTubes?" You asked me, and I was like, "We could."
Yeah, but you want people to actually watch it.
Want us to sit there?
Watch it together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
watch it with you.
Because it doesn't look like it's good. Well, it might be done by the end of the podcast. We'll see. Half an hour.
I think it will be done about 15 minutes after the podcast ends, so that's real bad timing. So instead, we're going to quickly move on to the Patreon of the month.
Yes.
So if you are new here, if you
Patreon's written in it.
go and fetch your note. Oh, I've got the list on my phone. Into the drawer. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, I just wanted, because we're well, I've got it written in my notebook who we've already shouted out. And,
Okay, so it was.
tell you what, just randomly pick someone from there for us to shout out.
Okay, so first of all, if you shouting. First of all, if you are new here, if you have just climbed out from a beautiful rock, we are a different human design, and we support neurodivergency, advocacy, all of that gorgeous stuff. And we're here doing it for free. So,
If you click to the left, you get the pound of pluck.
if you would like, sorry, if you would like to support us, which we would really, really appreciate, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com, a different human design, and you can pick through these different tiers, and we've upgraded them recently.
Yeah.
It's quite a good one.
It is.
Like,
It's made me really excited.
I wish my favorite creators had this for them, because you go on their Patreons and it's like, hey, you come to the member, you go to the Discord, and that's about it. We are getting close and personal with you guys. We want to share some cool things. So for £1 a pluck, you get exclusive digital bragging rights. That's just because you're a good purse and you're supporting a really good cause. You get to shout about that. So each month you'll get basically your bragging rights picture, some sort of
so
visual.
everyone that's subscribed to Patreon have theirs, and yeah, it's just you can share it on your social media, but it's also got a membership number, so that you've got like your exclusive number, and then when we're doing events and things like that, we know who's been here from the start and all of those things.
Definitely. We don't forget you people.
We don't.
But included that, we have a monthly prize draw. So each week we are shouting out just a general Patreon that we're really thankful for. But at the end of each month, the last podcast of each month,
Which is today.
it is today, we're doing a prize draw. I'm too excited. I can't get my words out.
But yeah, here's all the lovely prizes in here. Lots and lots of things.
Yeah, we'll go have a little look through them. So to be able to be what is it, included in this draw?
Yeah.
You just need to have one of be a subscriber of one of these tiers.
Even just the pound one. And we have got a different resolution guide.
What we've been using this year.
Yes, 2 labels on exclusive backing cards. So what we don't have an awful lot of we do have t-shirts, but I didn't want to add to the fast fashion crisis, and also I'm aware of people's budgets. So what we've come up with is labels that you can add to whatever clothing you like. So you maintain your style, you maintain whatever brands you want to support, but then you also add these to it, and then it creates this visual army on the ground. So if you spot one of these, you know you're looking at another community member of the a different human design clan. So you get one of each of those.
You have to go up to them and go, tribe.
Copy of the anxiety guide, which is fabulous, full color guide there. It's absolutely beautiful.
Check the reviews on that book. People love it.
And then an official merch notebook as well, which again, loads and loads of pages in there.
Quality,
really cool
pages.
Couple of fidget toys.
And this month's print, well, it will be for next month's. If you sign up for our Patreon, this will be included in the £5 bracket. And upwards, obviously.
Yes. An original design by Steph, but you will also get an original poem written by me.
I feel like it's quite cute that we get to share those like personal sides of ourselves.
Yeah.
And it could be relative to what we're learning about that month or sharing with you or whatever's happening, something relevant. And it means that it's just a little thank you basically for supporting us.
Yeah,
so that's included in the 10. You also get entry for £1 for you club, so that's reduced, which is normally £6
for the 10.
This is for the 5. Sorry, I was still on that one. Access to Discord. But then as you move up, it gets a little more interesting. So to become an egg, to become an egg,
I'm an egg producer. Do you know what? Funnily enough, I'd called it a speckled hen to begin with, like because I didn't realise it had been named. So I was like, because I was trying to think of something that rhymes with 10.
Okay, so to become a chicken,
I'm an egg producer.
Executive producer, you will get, as well as your bragging rights, you will have your name featured at the end of one of these episodes. Every single one, for as long as that you're subscribing within this tier.
All of the tiers as well, you get featured on our supporters wall on the website. Which
100%.
Yeah, there's like a wall on the website and it's got all of our supporters already on there.
Yeah, again, all these include tiers that are directly before them, and just gets better and better. Producer credits. Oh, the original stickers as well. So it gets a little more creative, just like the print. It'll be more stickers.
Oh, and a letter from us. I think that, yeah, that's for £10. You get a secret letter from us.
Secret that no one else can get. And we can't really say much.
Secret.
No. When we're on YouTube on this open forum, it can be hard to say exactly what you'd like without being YouTube just messing up your algorithm. So we can be real honest in these letters. We can be a lot more sharing and open, because we know that it will be to people that really support us and not just here to hate watch.
Yeah.
Take us down. Not that we have many enemies. But so yeah, let's get to this week's prize winner.
Yeah.
I've got all the names.
If you are watching right now, make sure you hit the like button on the video so that we can beat the algorithm and more people can see us.
So our winner there is Jack.
Oh, it's Jackie.
Hey, Jackie, congratulations.
Yeah. These goodies.
Coming your way.
Coming your way.
We'll get them to you tomorrow.
So there was 18 names, I think, in that prize draw, because that's how many we've got supporting us so far. So if you want to be in next month's prize draw, you need to get on, choose your tier, and pick your subscription and subscribe to us and support us, and you will find yourself in the prize draw every single month.
Oh, it's kind of worth it, right? And especially at this stage where like there's less people to compete against, the chance of us pulling your name is so much easier.
Well, the cool thing is that the prize draw is say if we've got a theme for the podcast, like, cause I was thinking about this on the way here, if I've been talking about crystals and incense, then those things will be put into, the prizes every time will be different. And we're approaching an energy drink producer and things like that, and it's like, if we've got those things, then they will be in the prize packet as well. So it will always change.
The more that we can kind of reap, the more that we want to say thank you and give out to you, because we love you guys and you deserve it.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, if you want to join for this prize draw every month, get subscribed to our Patreon. From subscribing for this month, April onwards, sorry, I'm forgetting we're at the end of the month. That is when you will be able to get this print. After April, it will be a different print. So,
Very cool.
and that's
So-
from the £5 onwards.
So Jackie can be our shout out then for this episode as well. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Shout out, Jackie. This episode is dedicated to you and
Hey.
all the hard work that you do day in, day out.
Yes.
We appreciate
Excellent.
you.
We do appreciate you. So Netflix, behavior, the behavior industry. Dun, dun, dun.
Brats. Do you know what's funny? Actually, I went to school with a girl that was in camp,
Oh,
the
really?
TV program. I
What
remember.
did she have behavior needs or
Well, yeah,
did she have?
100%. The when it showed her at home with her mum, like before she even went, she's just like the mum was very she wasn't aggressive or abusive. She was just a shell of herself. And
Was
she
the mum
let
was?
she let
Yeah.
this daughter get away with everything.
Yeah.
So the reason I met her is because I don't know if you remember me saying that when I went to my secondary school, they realised very quickly that I'd been put in the wrong English group, and they
Oh, yeah.
moved me up to Mr. Elliot, shout out, moved me up to his class. At the same time I moved there was another girl that also joined that class,
Mm.
and the reason she hadn't been there yet is because she was in America filming this program. And we were like, "What is it? What?" And she was like, "Oh, nothing, nothing. Don't want to talk about it." But she was like, "Peace and love, a nightmare." Skiving, drinking,
Yeah.
smoking on the school campus sort of thing. Very like typical thing that you'd see on that program. But she'd be the program showed her at home, and they would just be really horrible to their mum. When the mum was like, "Oh no, please don't," she'd be like, "Suck your mum," to her
Yeah,
mum.
that's really disrespectful.
Yeah, and then I remember a bit where they're saying goodbye, and she's not going to see her mum for ages, and everyone is at least hugging their mum at
Yeah.
that point, or their parents, and her mum goes in for this hug, and again, it's suck your mum, leave me alone, doesn't even want to say goodbye to her.
Yeah.
And at that age, when I was younger, I was probably about 15, 16 watching this, I remember being like, how horrible is she? Like, and I was sold the same that most people have been sold throughout from the 80s. This idea that naughty kids are one, entertainment for TV purposes,
Yeah.
B, need to be broken and humiliated in a way to fix them.
Yeah, yeah. And that they deserve it because of their behavior.
Yeah.
That's how it's sold to us, isn't it? Look how poorly behaved they are. They deserve this treatment. Because then you kind of lower your empathy levels from like, well, look at how she's talking to her mum. She deserves it.
100%. It took me to go to university to be like, oh,
There's a reason.
parenting and abuse doesn't necessarily. There's certain things like neglect where you're just not there providing the parental support, the guidance that a child needs because they will test boundaries. We all know a 2-year-old starts saying no.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't just be like, okay, it's a baby.
Yeah.
They're exercising their boundaries, and it's for you as their parent or guardian, wherever your role is, to guideline this way. And
do you think that that's the kind of problem then, in a way, that these in America, I don't know who's seen the program on Netflix, but that the parents are passing the responsibility over to a third party?
Yeah.
That it's like, instead of us putting in the hard work, we're gonna pay somebody to fix that problem.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard because we were joking earlier. My mum would have sent me, and she would have done. She threatened me many times to, you'll be sent to a house, a home. And there was no detail given because clearly this home doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And my mum doesn't have the 40 grand a year to send me there either way. And I didn't know that at the time, which I wish I could have turned around and been like,
You can't afford it.
Yeah, them from money bags. But the reality is that kids that are coming from less well affluent backgrounds don't get this offered to them. Well, they're going to get it offered, but they can't pay for it. It is the parents with a lot of money
Mm.
who are more than happy to let someone else fix their kid rather than get themselves dirty,
Mm.
get their own hands dirty or whatever. And I think that's very common, unfortunately, with kids that are born from a lot of money in these affluent backgrounds.
I mean, I've got 2 points fighting. Both of them want to say the same thing. So firstly,
Yeah,
I'm going to
both.
say the terrifying thing about the program that I was talking about in America, the one that's on Netflix right now, is that they are now moving into the sector where they're being funded by the government and they're channeling foster kids through it. So it's no longer privately, or at least not only
Yeah.
privately funded, and it's not just rich parents that are accessing it, and it's, you know, really vulnerable kids that are in foster homes that are being put through these programs.
It's unfortunately a really nasty way that they make money
Yeah,
in America.
business. But then also in a way, I feel schooling in the UK is very business-like, because the other thing that I was going to say is that a lot of the students that come into my classroom would be classed as disrespectful. They're disrespectful to their elders, to adults, to teachers, to their parents,
Yeah.
whoever. But how come then a majority aren't disrespectful to me in my classroom? You know, it's because I'm meeting them in the middle and I'm not coming in with this attitude of I'm better than you. That's why, you know. So
I think to label a kid as as naughty is lazy. You
mm,
are an awful teacher if you can just look at a student and be like, "Oh, they're just naughty." What do you mean? Find out why.
yeah,
As we know, anger is not the original primary emotion. Why are they angry? Why are they acting out? Because I know for me, at school, I started acting out because it meant you don't ask me to read out in front of a class if I'm messing up. I don't even have to try and do any of this work because you send me out to that isolation room.
yeah. It's a means to an end for that kid.
Yeah,
And that's the trouble. A lot of mine have been in and out of the classroom. By the time I get them in year 9, year 10, they've got so many gaps in their knowledge that no wonder they're acting out, because they feel like they feel stupid. So they act out so that they don't have to, nobody knows then. It's just another form of masking.
exactly. Like this humiliation, this shame tactic still happens in schools and it's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that if you're not natural, because we were laughing at a meme before we came on air where it said there's two types of neurodivergent: one that plays the song on the loop till they die, like religiously, and one that reads the encyclopedia for fun. Now, that's why my schooling experience wasn't overly horrific, because I was naturally gifted when it came to reading. I wasn't so good at maths, but reading and writing, the things that are going to get you somewhere in your lessons,
Yeah.
I was so good at that the teachers were like worshipping me because I was gonna get
Right,
them
yeah.
the results that
Yeah.
that showed that they were a good teacher. But that's not always the case, is it? Some kids are absolutely awesome at sport, at building things, at music, you know, are all of these other creative things that just don't hold the same weight in the classroom. So if they're not good at English and maths, then they automatically feel thick or not good enough. So then the behaviors can kind of come through.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a fundamental problem with the whole system.
Yeah, there's so many like things that have got nothing to do with my education that these, me and kids are getting done for, like not looking out the window, not paying attention.
Yeah.
It's like not paying good eye contact. Like,
Yeah.
what on earth does any of this have to do with one, my fault, and
Yeah.
B,
Yeah.
conducted to my learning?
We did say, didn't we, as well, that um it's not the child or the person that's the problem, it's the behavior. And I think if you can even just bring that language into a home and into a classroom and even into a relationship where
Yeah.
it's not you that's the problem, but this behavior is a problem.
Yeah.
How can we work on this behavior? Why is this behavior what we're seeing? You know, separate it. It's not the person.
And we understand this negative punishment has never helped anyone, but dogs maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Because
know.
that's the thing. I was a good kid in this. Well, I rebelled in my teens, but my dad was really strict on me, and kind of it was like being in one of those brat camps in my own home. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of lessons that I learned, and I'm so truly glad for those lessons. But when you do punish and punish and punish, you suppress those behaviors for so long, and then they just come out again anyway. This is why we're seeing
Yeah.
a lot of men and women get into their mid 30s and then their mental health are going,
Yeah.
because it works for so long.
Yeah.
It was, it wasn't productive, but the suppression and the avoidance and the behaving in an expected way works, and then you get to a certain age and it starts to fall apart.
I think that you've just highlighted a really interesting thing, because my mum has her own ways of my childhood. It was a lot more like she was busy and short-tempered. The military style really didn't enter the chat. But when I think about the difference between me and you in terms of our disciplines, I know that you got this discipline because it was like you do it, or
there was no choice.
there's no choice. You just do it.
There was some shame. Sometimes I think about it, and there was some shame factors used, and the shame definitely hasn't been helpful in terms of my self-esteem. And
and that's what I was hoping to point out, that like you might have a really good when you say you're going to do something, you do it. If someone needs help, you are helping them. You are very much like
disciplined.
You are disciplined.
But
how happy and mentally healthy are you from that?
Well, the last 5 years has been a huge effort of refinding myself, changing everything about my lifestyle and everything that I thought. There's elements of myself that I thought I was very secure and very confident, but now I've stripped it back. I've realized, no, I wasn't. That was just, like you say, through fear of, well, what will happen if I don't do this?
Yeah.
And there's also that element of perfectionism almost, where I've got to look like I'm doing it well, because that's how I'll get praise. And that's a success. I'm a success if I do these things.
And it becomes not only the praise that you get from other people, but the praise that you accept from yourself.
Yeah, that you're giving yourself for achieving those things.
It's a blooming nightmare. I'm so thankful that these things weren't, or at least my mum wasn't able to send me to any. And I spoke to her downstairs, and she was like, I wouldn't have actually sent you. And I do believe her.
Yeah.
But a lot of these parents are sold the dream, because it can be hard, right? I mean, as a teacher to a lot of these kids with behavioral problems, what is it like trying to get through to them sometimes?
Do you know, I myself, and I'll say it to the staff and to anyone that will listen, I'm like, teenagers are going through, and I say it to them, you are going through the biggest rewiring that your brain has had since you was a toddler. So to put the level of expectation that we do on a teenager, I feel is so unfair and so backward in the first place, because I get angry at them for not taking me seriously, or not, putting in the effort that they're going to need, or not being able to understand how it's going to affect them later on in life or down the line. They're not going to get it. They're not, then it's not their fault that they don't get it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was having lunch with my granddad earlier, and we was talking about the state of education and what the next steps of my students, where do they go next? And when I was telling him the kind of mess that it's all in, he just looked at me and he went, so don't you just feel like what you're doing is a waste of time? I was like, yes. Yes. I said, this is why I do the podcast as well, because that gives me the platform to be able to share my true feelings on it, and to try and, I can say to the students, we've got this website, we've got this platform, I'm trying to give you this alternative blueprint, because the one that's being sold to you is not the one that's going to do you any good, and it's not for you. It's going to...
Be careful asking her that too many times a day, by the way. You might bring it to a breakdown, just like, I don't know, why am I doing this?
I am very open with my class, where sometimes I'll say to them, right, today's lesson is just about passing the exam. I get that it's boring and I get it's irrelevant, but you need to know it to get through the exam. And then sometimes I'll say, today's lesson is not an exam lesson. It's nothing to do with the exam, but it's going to be helpful. And I think the fact that I'm so brutally honest, I don't try and sell them a dream about why we're doing it in class.
I much appreciated that. And I can think of many like teachers up to like lecturers that would be like, look, today is a boring day. It's a lot of admin. It's a lot of, I remember doing research and being like, look, this statistics bit is going to suck. But as soon as we've done that, we've got some really cool experiments we can do. And you just be like, okay.
You've kind of got to tick these boxes, which is basically just getting you ready for life, isn't it? I mean, I was going through my TikTok account a couple of nights ago and just kind of deleting videos that I didn't think were very relevant to my message and stuff like that. And I came across this message that I did yonks ago, and that is the questioning why in the classroom. I know that students get sent out for asking why. I used to get in trouble for asking why. But the trouble is, if somebody asks you why and it triggers you, there's an issue already. That in itself is an indicator of, well, why do you feel so triggered? Is it because the honest answer is something that you can't get? And that, and by saying don't ask why, or sending a kid out for being disrespectful because they've asked you why, what are we then teaching? What, that it's okay to not answer questions and to avoid, and that
Definitely. It's a self-report. As a kid now, the kids aren't stupid. They've got TikTok.
exactly, they're not stupid.
You say that to a kid and they go, oh, you don't know.
Yeah.
They see straight through it.
Or even, it's an English lesson and you're banging on about subordinate clauses.
Or the important stuff.
Yeah, a complex sentence structure. And they go, Miss, why do I need to learn this? And if you go, you're being totally disrespectful. You're triggered because you're embarrassed that, they're right. Why are we learning it? The truth of the matter is we're learning it because we need to get you through an exam, and the exam's going to ask you it. That is it. That's the truth.
If you can't answer that as a teacher, really honestly.
But they can't. I mean, I get it that a lot of teachers are, the whole toxic culture of schools and teaching is horrendous. There's a lot of blame culture.
It's not necessarily teachers choosing to be this way, but the red tape that's forcing them.
They're scared to death. When I worked in mainstream, the stress levels, because everybody, it's almost like there's two halves. There's people who genuinely want to do a good job and are on eggshells all of the time trying to make it work. And then there's other people that are ready to throw you under the bus and grass you up for the smallest accidental mistake and make out that you're some kind of wrong un.
Cover up their mistakes.
Maybe, or they're higher up. I think there's a lot of twisted egos and people that are unhealthy that have gone into that role anyway. So it's like a power trip. But I always used to joke that it's almost like everybody's got this pointy blamey finger in their pocket and they're literally walking around looking for somebody that they can point a finger at and blame for something. It's horrible. The toxic culture is horrible. It's, if you do something well, somebody else steals the credit for it.
Yeah.
And if you do something wrong, oh my God, you're going to know about it. And you're not just, you're embarrassed the way they tell you off. You're not just told, oh, this didn't work, or we understand why you did this. Yeah. The way that you're brought down is just horrible.
I think it's quite a common thing we see in these institutions that are there to support us, to help us, right? Schools, doctors. They all have this management problem where no one wants to call anyone out for actual BS because it highlights your crap, or the opposite way around, where you're constantly doing that to try and hide your own. There's been things in the NHS with, and I'm not going to expose who told me these, but someone quite high up. The amount of problems that have happened, that if someone had just said something in the first instance, how quickly that would have sorted. And now it's years worth of just lies that you've got to try and get under.
Hidden.
You look down and oh, someone did try and raise this issue, but
they was pushed out the door from it. Because that's the other thing, that if the amount of jobs I've been pushed out of because I was seen as being problematic, but really I just wanted to get to a genuine solution. Why aren't we doing it this way? And it's the next thing you know, I've lost my contract.
Yeah.
Because how dare I ask why we're not doing it a way that would be way more effective for the students?
You literally sound like a student from one of these places where it's don't talk, don't look out the window, don't do this, do not ask why, don't do it. And it's hold on a second.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it going back into, when I first landed my first school job, it was like going back to school. There was the bullies, there was the in kids, there was, the teacher's pets, the one that never got in trouble. And then I was in with the cool kids, we were a bit rebellious, the kids all loved us because we were dead cool, of they knew that would be a bit soft if they'd be like, oh, go on, miss, let me. So much trouble, quick then, while I'm not looking, because the rules are daft. That is the trouble as well. Sometimes there's a rule just for the sake of there being a rule.
Feels like that a lot of the time at school, right? I remember, I mean, I can't speak for what schools are like now, but I remember literally being like, why can't I stand over that yellow line past 12 o'clock?
Oh my God.
There's certain rules where it's just don't lean on that door handle. It's why?
And the thing is, teachers are so scared of being told off by their superiors for not
complying.
yeah, so that they're then saying just don't do it though, and like you have to level with the kids sometimes, like, because I'll get in trouble, that's why.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's things at the minute. There's a student I'm working with, and she always talks about the fact that there's been this one-way system put in place, so they have to go outside and, or round the buildings to go all the way around, but the toilet, she can see the girls' toilet there, and she's not allowed to just go to the girls' toilet. She has to go all the way round, even in
Things
the
like that.
rain. And it's like, but in real life, you would just go to the toilet. You wouldn't actually like be scared that you're going to get told off. And even things like, she did get told off by somebody quite high up in the school. And do you know what they shouted at her? I am a very important person around here. I was like, what? They said, what?
Hey, your ego was too loud then. We
Yeah.
all heard that.
It is be important person around here, and because she'd been rude to her, and I was like, the fact is though, you shouldn't be rude to anyone, like the fact that she's got this like thing of don't be rude to me because I'm a very important person, you're half of the problem of why they've got this hierarchy issue like going on. Oh,
if you've got that mentality as a teacher, just quit your job right now. Peace and love. You're not that important if you're yelling at my kid. And I'm gonna make sure
and you're making
you never feel important again.
Yeah, you're making us that genuinely do want to do the job properly out of a bad name, because that is the trouble. That I get really het up when I see Facebook status slating teachers, because I know that I'm not a bad teacher, but I know there's teachers out there that really do make the job like they're such jobs worths, or they're so like with that rule thing of not being able to quickly go that way. It's like kids question those things and then they lose respect for you because there isn't a decent answer other than because I've told you.
I'm an important person. It is a real quick way to get me to not like you. What do you mean? You wouldn't respect another adult saying that to you.
You wouldn't. But the trouble is, we're not in necessarily conventional workplaces either, because again, the blueprint that we're trying to push across to people is that you can make your life suit your needs. And I can't remember what I was watching. Maybe Sex and the City the other day, but there was but there was a guy that was working in like an office, like a lawyer-based workplace or whatever, and I thought, oh my God, there's loads of these offices around with these big workforces and people that hate their jobs, that are stressed, that have got all these rules to follow and power trips above them and supervisors and bosses and
you're wrong. So there's people that are fine with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places that are really healthy places to work, but there's so many that still followed this rigid system, and I could feel the weight of it. I was like, oh, we need to trash it.
I think we're quite lucky in the sense, well, especially I'm nowhere near Leicester, so I don't see a skyrise building for another 10-minute drive either way, so 20-minute drive either side of me. But living like somewhere in London where it is just people and people and people, and it's not like lovely homes and it's businesses, business, and it's like that's just so much. Like
I was reading an ADHD status as well. So there was a group that I'm in, and this lady was like asking for advice because her daughter's 27 and had just been sacked from another job just for making like a silly mistake. But she's got to the point where she's at rock bottom type thing. And I mean, I commented, I was like, we run a platform of a free podcast, please point them in our direction. There's a whole community of us that haven't survived in those workplaces, and you've almost got to forge your own way. But if you've not got the resilience, the mental resilience and the mental health behind you to do that, then you are feeling like a failure. Like, I can't even last in a job because I can't meet the expectations. I can't be on time every day without somebody screaming down my neck because I'm a few minutes late because I've got myself all disorganized. Or
them firing me. Do you know what I mean? That's such a harsh, like, oh my God. Like, for me, my attachment style, the amount of jobs that I was ready to leave anyway, but even when they did get rid of me, I'd still be like, such a finite, like, there's nothing I can do. It's just like, oh, this is your time now, Steph. And it's just like, it makes you go in yourself. You're like, God, I am a dumbass. God, I am useless. Like, it makes you feel, and in them times, all I really need is support. But it's like
compassion.
And just like these institutions, these troubled teen places, like all these kids need is support, and what you're doing is just causing more trauma.
Yeah.
You're causing them to lean further into these behaviors that
It's that having somebody to look up to that you feel like you can see similarities within. That's like, you know, these kids in these institutes, they are the daydreamers and the outside of the box thinkers, and that's why they've not perhaps got along in like a mainstream setting. But it's like, it's because we've not got these people on display of like, it's okay to be different. You know, we don't all have to look the same and act the same. And
exactly.
and even the gap between being successful, like the amount of times that people are, oh, Richard Branson's ADHD, yeah, and he's also a multi-millionaire. You know, like it doesn't feel accessible, does it? There's no in between.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people talk about Trump with the one-off £1 million loan that he got at the start, and it was like, well, it's from his dad.
Yeah, God, I could think he's had with £1 million.
He's had way more loans since then.
Yeah.
Why are we just talking about that initial bit of help that he had?
Yeah.
Is it one, like it's nothing, two, like he never got any, like.
And also, success doesn't always mean being a millionaire. You know, success
100%.
is having a schedule that you're in charge of, that you can get up. You don't have to be up at 8 a.m. or success.
Imagine all you like doing is diving down to look at tropical fish. And you can do that every single morning if it means that you can construct your working day around it. Maybe you can become a surf instructor or do you know what I mean? You can literally mold life. And now that there's online stuff as well, you don't just have the career. You can set up a TikTok or an Instagram or whatever and promote what you're doing alongside it. Make funny.
Even though success might be working in Tesco Monday to Friday so that at the weekends you can go diving. That is success. If you're doing what you want to do, then that is success. But it's such a big gap, isn't it? To this is success. And it's like, well, actually, just not waking up and feeling mad anxiety every day is success.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely never let anyone say like, oh, we work at Tesco's, when that's a bit of a dead end job. Sometimes a dead end job to some people is definitely not the other.
Yeah, security. Yeah, I think stability.
We're sold this like really unfair lie that if you're passionate about something, then you'll never work a day in your life. And sometimes even in the jobs that you really love, you're going to have days that you really don't enjoy.
I'm passionate and I work 24/7.
Exactly. She's knackered, bless her. But the
dream.
What?
You'll never work a day in your life.
Oh, right, yeah. Sometimes a job is just there to get you to be able to do the things you want to be able to do. Be able to carve your life out exactly the way you do want it. So working in Tesco's, working for Amazon, any of these like delivery driver, these dead end jobs are perfect for someone that's like, nah, screw work. That's not why I live.
My mate who worked in Tesco for years has got the most amazing discounts as well. Like, you know, like using his Tesco card, and then he's got it sorted for him. Like his shop barely costs nothing. So it's, you know, and like one man's success is another man's. Like I would hate to be in an office job working, you know, for £1 million a month doing 70 hours a week in the rat race.
Yeah,
that is not for me. So you've just got to work out what you're successing and not judge each other for those successes as well.
Definitely not. It's
So yeah, if you haven't watched the program on Netflix or the Paris Hilton documentary, I think they're worth investigating purely because they're eye openers about what is actually going on, and also I think for remembering that we should listen to our kids, because quite a lot of the time the youngsters come into me and they say, oh, they lock me in a cupboard all day every day, and people just think, yeah, whatever.
They've got right imaginations, these kids.
Yeah, but that is the trouble. I have seen teachers lie about something that happened because they know their word over the kids.
Right.
You know, like, and you know, they know as a teacher or whatever that it shouldn't have panned out like that. So the story of how it panned out slowly changes to make it more palatable.
Right.
You know, like, because I've worked in behaviour schools where they do restrain kids. And it's like, I've seen teachers antagonize a kid. So the kid's gone for them and then they've restrained them.
Oh my God.
But it's like, but you caused that restraint. Right, do you see what I mean? Like, if you'd have handled it different, the kid wouldn't have gone for you in the first place.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. We've just got to be careful. It's almost like they've got statistics out, haven't they, for the police, that the police force naturally will always have certain people go for that job that are looking for the warrant card and the power, and I think it's a similar thing with teaching.
Yeah, definitely. With counselling, doctors, teachers, any position of power, basically, that you can wield over other people,
Yeah.
you will find these people in there.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing to point out again with these schools. They're called students. There's no learning done in these places. It is all just behavioural correction, punishment. And I think by having teachers, not anything below that, and having these teachers actually educated in how they can help their students rather than just cause further trauma
Yeah.
or miss something that they're actually trying to tell you, or
Just always think, why is this child behaving like that?
every single
Yeah.
time.
Why are they reacting? What's the reason?
Even if you know this kid goes up to the same fan during summer after lunch and goes, wow, 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 for like 10 minutes at the fan, he might be annoying, I get it, but
yeah, why are they seeking that sensory input?
yeah, that might have nothing to do with anything that's going on at home. They might just like doing that. But don't let some prejudgment of a child, if you're like, oh, they're just a bit strange, they're just a bit odd, oh, they just say things like that.
Yeah.
Don't discredit that. Make sure that you're looking up to these. I'm sure your employer would much rather you were wrong 50 times than miss an actual
Yes,
incident.
opportunity. We definitely need to stick together more and stop this blame culture, because that is another thing. Like, parents and teachers need to join forces rather than it be kind of parents v teachers, which I feel like there's a lot of that at the minute.
Yeah, 100%. If your kid's crying out for help, help them as best you can, hands on.
And definitely, watch this podcast together, get involved in the chat, ask us questions. We will always bring new subjects to each episode. We're more than happy to discuss things and try and shed some light. We can do it together. We're in it together.
If you've got a question, you leave it in the chat. We haven't got a solid plan for how we talk about these things. We roll about as ADHD as possible as we can. And if you want to come in and ask us a question and guide what we talk about,
yeah, absolutely.
If you want to share an experience or a rant, if you want to just pop off, you're sick of it, let us know. That's what we're here for every Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Yeah, we'll take a different route to the program. We won't come and kidnap your kid at 2 a.m. in the morning, but we'll happily come and chat.
Isn't that bizarre?
I know. Yeah, if you've not watched it yet, watch it and let us know what you think.
Yeah, there's a Hell Camp as well. They're all coming out right now, and the fact that some of these schools are still running is terrifying. And how very little justice is being brought onto the people that are responsible for this trauma.
Yeah, that's the scary thing.
Like, governments are like, oh, we could punish you, but also we could invest. Like, wait, what?
Again, it's people of us standing up together, for anything to be done about these things.
Together, we will create a better future for our children and for us, man. Not just our kids. I want a better life.
Yes. Subscribe. Hit the like button.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to ask. Please do. It does make all the difference.
It definitely. If you pop us just a little like, we're just more likely that this video will reach more pages.
And shout out to Jackie, this month's winner of the Patreon super giveaway. Yay. If you would like to be considered for next month's prize winner, you can subscribe to one of these tiers. If you would also like to join one of these in the meantime, you can get some of the stuff that's included in this pack anyway.
Yeah, it's on our shop.
Please take a look. Would you like to be honoured as a demigod for £25 a month? That's a pretty cool title. But yeah, that is another way that you can support us, and we hope that you can do that at some point. And if you can't, we understand, because we're skint totally.
We're happy with the like on the video. If you can't subscribe on Patreon, subscribe on YouTube. It's free.
I love a like.
Yes, I do. It does.
All right, guys, we've kept you long enough. This is Lindsay.
And this is Steph.
We are A Different Human Design.
And this is a different podcast. Good night.
Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love we invite in. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous. Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love we invite in. You don't agree, then